So today's episode is one I'm especially excited about because it dives into such a personal and socially relevant topic. It's titled Gay People Don't Have to Come Out, and it was written by Dr Galahad Randall Unciano, who is a really accomplished research consultant and educator in the Philippines. I'll remind you, as always, I'm not here to endorse any of the views in this essay. Well, it asks something that sounds simple but actually carries a huge weight. Why, in the 21st century, do we still expect LGBT people, or let's say more specifically gay people, to come out? Why is there this pressure to make a declaration about who they are? The essay really flips the question we sort of take for granted, and that's significant because it highlights ongoing social norms and what that means for individual identity. And just to really ground this, Dr Unciano is writing not just as a scholar, but as someone with lived experience. He opens by sharing these honestly touching and sometimes funny moments from his own life. Like, he talks about scrolling through his rainbow-filled social media feed during Pride Month and the distinctive comfort of being called gay, which, is both the first syllable of his name and a nod to gay, and what that sense of belonging means. That right there is pretty striking because it shows identity work happening on multiple levels, both about personal feelings and navigating society at large. But let's go a little deeper into the essay's argument. Dr Unciano shares an extended reflection on his own coming out story, including the lengths to which he went to try to fit in before coming out to his family, such as even dating a girl just so he could say, "Hey, look, I tried," and then he finally comes out, only to discover his mother always knew. The lesson, oftentimes families and loved ones have already figured things out, and the big reveal is maybe more about our own process and anxieties than other people's ignorance. He uses this as a springboard to challenge the very idea of coming out. He asks, why is it that only LGBT people have to do this? Straight people don't gather their families and announce their orientation. So what does it say about what's considered normal, or who's forced to justify their existence? Dr Unciano argues that expecting LGBT people to come out at all reinforces the stereotype that they are different or less normal than straight peers. It's a ritual that, in his words, almost treats being gay as if it were an illness that needed to be, confessed. Let's talk methods for a second, not in the research methods sense of surveys or data sets here, but in the narrative technique. Dr Unciano uses personal anecdote blended with a lot of metaphor, like comparing coming out to defending a thesis or to a gladiator fighting to win over a crowd. He draws on his own teaching background, actually, describing how, as a research committee member, he sees students laying out their work for judgment almost the same way LGBT people must present themselves for societal approval. It's a vivid analogy, and it might hit home for anybody who's had to justify their perspective or worth, whether you're gay, straight, or somewhere in between. Here's something funny. I had a friend back at university who always organised elaborate events for the most trivial things, like, say, launching a new kind of sandwich in the canteen. Sometimes I wonder if we blow some social rituals way out of proportion too, just out of habit or expectation. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, the big closing insight in this essay is the hope that someday coming out stories just won't matter. Dr Unciano dreams of a world where nobody has to make a scene or launch into explanations or defences about who they love. He wants being LGBT to be just as unremarkable as, say, avocado ice cream instead of vanilla, something you might enjoy and nobody else thinks twice about. I mean, who among us hasn't had to explain a weird flavour preference? Maybe that's a weird comparison, but it does make the point super accessible. What does all this mean for you, the listener? Well, this essay isn't about providing one absolute truth, and it's definitely not saying there's only one way to experience or express identity. It's more about taking a step back and asking, do we have to do things a certain way, or could we as a community and as a wider society make space for people to exist just as they are, no announcements needed? So as we wrap up, remember, I'm here to share and spark reflection, not to tell you what's right or wrong. Academic essays like this one by Dr Galahad Randall Unciano offer insights, challenge norms, and most of all, invite us to question our habits, both big and small. Thanks for letting me share this fascinating piece. I hope you find yourself reflecting, maybe the next time you reach for your own favourite ice cream flavour, or whenever the conversation turns to identity and normality. Until next time, keep questioning, keep reflecting, and thanks for joining me on In Depth with Academia. See you soon.